Hello, my name is Scott Lane, and I did my cultural analysis on Finland. And right here, this is the flag of Finland. So, getting into it, an overview of Finland. So, starting off with geographic location. So, Finland is a country in Northern Europe. So, this is Europe right here, and Finland is up here in the northern part. It is a Nordic country along with Denmark, which is there, Norway, Sweden, and Iceland. And some characteristics of these Nordic countries are low population, longer life expectancies, and high levels of literacy. And continuing, so Finland is bordered by Russia over here, Norway at the top, and Sweden right here. And also thousands of miles of water from the Baltic Sea. And that is the Baltic Sea is right here along the southern side. And Finland also contains many lakes, rivers, and islands, and there are approximately 187,888 lakes in Finland. And because of Finland's geography, it makes fishing very important to the culture because all the lakes, rivers, and being having vast coastlines. So 28% of Finland's population is involved in recreational fishing. And this fish right to the right is a perch, and that is the national fish of Finland. Right here we have the island of Klippan, and down here we have the village of Rasborg. And this is just to show you how their infrastructure and their houses and their towns are usually on coastlines or in lakes, and it just shows you how much they value and how important that part of their country and geography is. Moving on to government, Finland is a parliamentary republic, and this means that there is a head of government, and that is the prime minister, and there is also a head of state, and that is the president. So Sanna Marin, which is this woman, is the prime minister. She was appointed in 2019, and she is the youngest prime minister and the third female prime minister of Finland. And this man is Sauli Niisto, and he is the president of Finland, and he has served as a president since 2012. And Niisto is in charge of foreign policy, and he is also the head of defense forces. And the Parliament of Finland is the legislative branch. And a little bit of how Finland is broken up is there are 19 regions, 70 subregions with local governments, and 311 towns and cities. Also, Finland is a part of the European Union, and they joined the European Union in 1995. So this picture right here is a picture of Helsinki, and that is the capital of Finland. That is where the central government is located. And also a little fun fact is Hofstede Insight's headquarters. Hofstede Insights is where I studied the most about Finland, and I got a lot of my information. Their headquarters is located in Helsinki, Finland. So moving on to ethnic groups and religions in Finland. The majority of the people in Finland are Finns. There's a small population of Russians, Estonians, and Ingrians. And the Sami people, this is a Sami over here. They're known for herding reindeer and sheep. This is a reindeer. They're the only indigenous people in the European Union, which is a very unique fact because the European Union contains a lot of countries, and Finland is the only one that has indigenous people. And there are also a small number of Roma people in Finland, and they date back to the 1500s. And about religion, approximately of the 5.5 Finns in Finland, 88% of them identify with Christian-based religion, and 86% of them are Lutheran, 1% Orthodox, 1% other, and 12% do not associate with a religious group. Moving on to comparing Finland to the United States. So this is a diagram of Hofstede's 6 dimensions of culture. We have power distance, individualism, masculinity, uncertainty avoidance, long-term orientation, and indulgence. And as you can see here in power distance, uncertainty avoidance, long-term orientation, and indulgence, the United States and Finland scored fairly similarly. And Finland, as you can see, is represented by blue, while the United States is represented by purple. Here in masculinity, there is quite a gap, in that there's also a gap in individualism, and we will talk about this momentarily, but I just want you to observe that in a lot of the dimensions, they're fairly similar. So, going to power distance. Power distance is defined as the extent to which the less powerful members of institutions and organizations within a country expect and accept that power is distributed unequally. So as you saw, Finland scored 33 and the United States scored 40. So because of the lower ratings of both countries, it would be fairly easy for Americans and Finns to work on a team together, and they would have similar expectations. They would be able to work independently, communicate directly, teach each other with respect, and not be controlling. They would also appreciate an informal work environment. Those are all similarities of a Finnish person and someone from the United States in a work environment. So, for example, one similarity would be in both cultures, an employee would call a manager by their first name. Now, that is very normal to us in the United States, and it is the same for them in Finland, but there are some cultures in other countries where that would be totally inappropriate behavior. So that is something you don't have to worry about if you are going to Finland to work. Moving on to individualism. The fundamental issue addressed by this dimension is the degree of interdependence a society maintains among its members. So Finland scored 63 and the United States scored 91. Now this is a fairly large gap, but they're both on the higher end of the spectrum, meaning that they're going to have similarities. Whereas the United States, since it is so much higher, it's just going to be enhanced. So both countries will have the expectation that an individual will take care of themselves and their family. And both cultures would also agree that being an employee is beneficial to the individual as well as the company. Moving on to masculinity, the fundamental issue here is what motivates people. Wanting to be the best, which would be masculine, or liking what you do, which would represent feminine. So this is the dimension where their scores differ. Finland scored 26 and the United States scored 62. So scoring lower on this scale means that Finland is more feminine, while the United States is more masculine. So Finland's low rating tells us that Finnish culture is motivated by liking what they do, while the US culture is motivated by being the best. So teamwork in America, let's say there is a group of people at work in America and they have a project. Those people may be motivated to stay late, work late, and finish that project right away. Whereas if there was a group of people at work doing a project in Finland, those people would be more likely to go home on time, not stay late, so that they would not miss out on any life that they want to live. Maybe they want to go fishing after work and they want to go home on time so that they can do what they like to do. And a key difference between these cultures is that the United States is motivated by status, while Finland is not. Next is uncertainty avoidance. The dimension uncertainty avoidance has to do with the way that a society deals with the fact that the future can never be known. Should we try to control the future or just let it happen? So Finland scored 59, the United States scored 46. Similar. The Finns are more motivated to avoid uncertainty than the Americans by just a little bit. Both cultures like rules, but people from Finland might not be as open to new ideas at work as an American would be. An example of that would be doing things differently, maybe new management coming in, new leadership coming in, and changing the way things are done. And people in Finland like things done as familiar and in a secure way, while Americans would be more open to innovation. Next is long-term orientation. This dimension describes how every society has to maintain some links with its own past while dealing with the challenges of the present and the future. And societies prioritize these two existential goals differently. So Finland scored 38 and the United States scored 26, which both countries scored low on this dimension. And that means that they both value tradition and truth. So in businesses, both these cultures are looking for short performance rather than long-term payout. And this would mean quarter to quarter performance rather than what a business or company would look like after 50 years. And both cultures have lots of people that care about rules and religion. And because of this, it's easier for those people to live together and work together because they understand each other and how they think and live. Next is indulgence. This dimension is defined as the extent to which people try to control their desires and impulses based on the way they were raised. So Finland scored 57, and the United States scored 68. They both scored high in this dimension, which means that they are considered indulgent countries. And they're both motivated to take breaks and enjoy life. And also, the history of each country gives its people strong determination and perseverance in their cultures. So, moving on to Christian biblical perspective. So, this verse, Jeremiah 6:16, thus says the Lord, stand by the roads and look, and ask for ancient paths where the good way is, and walk in it, and find rest for your souls. But they say we will not walk in it. So, this is referring to long-term orientation and talking about how both the United States and Finland value tradition and truth. Next, talking about Matthew 6:34. Therefore, do not be anxious about tomorrow, for tomorrow will be anxious for itself. Sufficient for the day is its own trouble. So this is talking about uncertainty avoidance for Finland. This Bible verse is telling us to not worry about tomorrow, and that is because Finland scored differently than the United States, whereas the United States would care a little bit more about this than Finland. And finally, the verse of Philippians 2:3-4. Do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. Let each of you look not only to his own interest, but also to the interest of others. And this is referring to Finland's score on masculinity. Now, since Finland scored lower, they would be considered a feminine culture. And this is talking about how Finland will do what they like to do, and they are more inclined to care for others, as this verse is saying. And this page is my references, as is this page. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you.